Liverpool 1, Arsenal 0. Crook and I both went to this game, and it was a bit of a frustrating watch at times. In fact, I threw to Crook at one stage during the game, and he went, "Oh, sorry, I fell asleep then." And I thought he was talking about my banter for a second.
Well, that wasn't.
But he wasn't. He was talking about the game until we had that moment. And Kevin, I mean, you've scored some goals in your time. That was a hell of a hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I must admit, mate, when I seen it, I was like, wow, because that is a moment, and is that the moment? And I know it's 3 games in. Is that the moment? What's going to give them the sort of mentality and the edge to now go and win the Premier League? Because as you said, we could have all fell asleep and woke up and it was 0-0 and gone, oh, I didn't really miss anything there. But it was a real hard fought sort of game, teams trying to figure each other out. But what I will say is that I was impressed when Eze come on, when Odegaard come on with Arsenal. I thought that there was something there, and it's going to be interesting now. But what a moment! And yeah, let's see where that takes us from there. But what a great start for Liverpool and an unbelievable strike.
It really was an unbelievable strike. It was a breathtaking moment, actually. And interestingly, I was in the tunnel afterwards, and so was Crook. And he was talking to us, and he was saying, I've been practicing a lot this week on taking free kicks. And I don't usually practice because when we have one game a week, we're allowed to go out and do that. But when we have 2 games a week, we're not allowed because we've got to rest and we can't get tired. So interesting that he said that I've been practicing that technique for years and years and years, but I only had the chance to really hone it this week because we only had one game. I thought that was fascinating, Kevin.
Yeah, and they're the times, and I get, as a player, you're going, well, why can't I go out? I feel all right. I want to go out and kick a ball. I want to kick it into the net. I want to, if you're sort of trying to tune up on things, but on the week to week, you sort of get a little bit of a free rein where you want to do your extras, and people go, well, yeah, you go on, you can go. But I'm like that as a manager now, where the lads are going, can we do a little bit of finishing? And I'm going, you can have 8 minutes. So they literally, and it's like, and I'm looking at it, looking at my coaches, and I'm going, that's 6, and you can see it. But so yeah, it is what happens in the day, which obviously the fans won't see. But yeah, look, well, we're all glad now, aren't we, that he was able to practice, because to see such a strike was fabulous. For obviously not for the Arsenal fans, but for everybody involved in football, it's to see such a great strike and the way it went. And look, Raya done everything right as well. That's what I will say. As a goalkeeper, he was where he was, and as he actually set and everything, and you could see it literally took the inside of the post and it was in. It was incredible.
Interesting, isn't it? Because everyone was delighted with it because you couldn't help but be sort of infused by that moment, taken away by that moment because it was so thrilling. It was a brilliant moment in the Premier League, and we've only had 3 games this season, but it might end up being one of the goals of the season, as you say, one of the most significant moments. But Mikel Arteta felt heartbroken afterwards, and we spoke to him, and he was a little bit more like, the game of football is cruel. We should have got something from this game. But you thought that he approached the game a little bit negatively, a bit too cautiously.
Yeah, and we've seen this before a couple of seasons ago at the Etihad when Manchester City were missing some key players. I think both De Bruyne and potentially Haaland were absent on that occasion, and Arsenal went there with a very defensive mindset. They got the 0-0 draw, but I remember myself and Adrian Durham having a row on air with Perry Grove saying, you know what, this might come back to haunt them at the end of the season, because it was an opportunity to go to their title rivals, make a statement, pick up 3 points, and they didn't grab it with both hands. And it felt very much that way today. You look at the team changes.
Do you think it's a missed opportunity?
I do a little bit, yeah, because Liverpool aren't quite in their rhythm yet. They weren't brilliant against Bournemouth on the opening weekend. They gave chances up in that game. They gave chances up against Newcastle, conceded 2 goals. And Arsenal just, for me, didn't really try and hurt them enough. I thought Merino coming in for Odegaard was quite a negative change.
But Odegaard's had some injuries.
You've got Eberechi Eze, who is presumably chomping at the bit to play. I thought apart from Madueke, Arsenal as an attacking force were very disappointing. Gyökeres went missing in action, and he's been poor now at Old Trafford and Anfield. Obviously, he scored a couple of goals against Leeds. Does beg the question, is he going to end up being a flat trap bully and maybe not be able to do it against the big sides? Too early to make that judgment definitively because we're only 3 games into the season. Martinelli was poor, and actually that continues the trend from the second half of last season. So I feel like Arsenal fans maybe could have demanded a bit more from their team in the circumstances. A point would have been a brilliant result, and they probably did deserve one. But did they do enough to win the game?
Kevin, he never rushes to judgment, as I'm sure you know.
I was just gonna say I can't believe he was arguing with Adrian Durham. You know, Crookie and Durham were arguing. Come on. No, look, I sort of agree with Crookie in this bit. So in terms of, I think Ebby was ready. He's played enough games, so why wouldn't you start him? Odegaard, you've seen that Liverpool have been vulnerable defensively. So I don't know why. I understand, in terms of sometimes you're thinking, but early in this race, why would you not, put all your big guns on and go, right, come on, we're going to put it on you and see if you can handle us and find out where you're at. And that's probably what I would ask Mickey Arteta if you could. But yeah, I think it could be a bit of a missed opportunity. I sort of agree with Crookie on that. But I can see why he's done it, because obviously the attacking prowess of Liverpool as well. So did he think that he could sort of keep them quiet for 60, 70 minutes and then open them up later on with his tactical changes? As you said, Odegaard, did he have a bit of an injury? Ebby only coming in late on. So yeah, there's always things with managers. But I'm only asking questions on here because it's always insightful to see what they're thinking. But I'm with Crookie. I think Arsenal might have missed a bit of an opportunity on this one.
Well, Liverpool certainly don't seem to be missing any opportunities, despite the fact that they've suffered setbacks in games and not always hit top gear. They've managed to won all of their matches, despite the fact that they went 2 goals up against Bournemouth, threw it away, then won 4-2. You got pegged back to 2-2 at Newcastle, and then ended up coming up with a winner from somewhere. And they've come up with a winner in a magical moment again. That shows a great mentality, I think. Arsenal always been resolute, always been very good defensively, but they did lose their rock, William Saliba, who picked up a twisted ankle in the warm-up to the game, and it actually sort of meant that they were already on red alert when he started the match, and he made a clearance, it didn't work, and then he went down the edge of the penalty area, and they were very quick to bring in Mosquera, who I thought actually did really well, despite the fact that Mikel Arteta was on the touchline and he was sort of complaining about the fact that Mosquera kept going too high. So he was trying to sort of like pull him back into line with Gabriel. But I still think he made a pretty good impact for someone who's never played that many minutes in the Premier League, but certainly not in a game of that caliber in the Premier League as well.